so confused. You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop unfriend me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dog.
Hey, Hogs Twins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast at The Dumb Show and his website, don'tunfriendme.com. Yeah.
Good morning, Don't Unfriend Me Nation. What are we?
We're going to have to get that changed so we can demonstrate that we are broadcasting on Spreely TV right now. You can go ahead and click the link if you want. Streaming live. First show on Spreely Live. I can't imagine that we're going to have a lot of people on because they don't even know we're there yet. And a lot of the newer stuff isn't even out yet. But that's cool. What's going on, Leroy?
I was just going to ask, Matt, what is Spreely TV?
You're hot. Hold on. You're hot. You're coming in.
Oh, I got to bring it down.
Loud.
Yeah, no. You're fine. Yeah, bring it down a little bit. And the reason why is because try it now.
How's that? Is that better?
Everyone, give me one more.
Check, 1, 2.
You guys let me know. Is Leroy too hot?
Sounds good.
Okay,
me.
sound good?
All right.
Yeah, you were coming in. But go ahead. What is Spreely TV? So
what is Spreely TV?
I will tell you what Spreely TV is. So we
War is always bad.
No,
Specifically for the planet.
Greta. No, Greta. Knock it off. I'm trying to
Where'd Amy go?
Amy had to go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kiddos.
Poor thing.
Yeah, it is what it is. Hold on. I'm going to try to pull this open real quick. Let me see. So, Spreely TV. We are actually on there. You're going to see we're a little bit behind. It's not lagging, but it's lagging here because I've got it up in multiple windows. But it is a little bit behind, and that's okay. And as far as chat and stuff, we'll monitor it and go from there. So I'm on there, not seeing chat, but we'll figure everything out. Either way, if you want to go over to Spreely TV, you can watch us right now. And what is Spreely TV? Spreely TV is essentially our new home away from home. And we are going to be on there. Oh, pretty much. Hold on. I got to do this real quick. Sorry, folks.
War is always bad.
We're trying to get everything set up. All right. So Spreely TV, a home network that will have social media, which is going to be the Spreely social media channel. It's very similar to Facebook or Twitter or anything else. It's just kind of just started. And you had the previous company, which was, I think Freedom Hub was the name, and had quite a few followers. Okay. But Spreely is kind of the next phase, which is them expanding into social media, digital content creators, having live video, but also having an ad revenue and reward system too for all listeners, where you can go on and create your Spreely account, share the Don't Unfriend Me show, and if somebody clicks through, they pay you for it. I can't go in. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Are you saying you can make money by referring to the show?
I'm saying you can make money by referring, and it's called Speak Freely. So Spreely, speak freely. You get to put it together. So it's an uncensored channel. Nothing's going to change except for us just sharing it and talking to you. You can see down in the lower right-hand corner, it says Spreely. And this is very similar to syndication because we're going to be on Roku. We're going to be on Apple TV. We're going to be on Firecast. So we're going to be broadcast on your over-the-top devices And then we'll see where it goes. I mean, the one thing that I can tell from Terry and the ownership is that they want to grow this into a full media channel. And there's already several conservative voices on here. Patriot Barbie, you may have heard of her. Dominic Izzo. Matt Couch comes on all the time. He's a big Twitter guy. So, I mean, these are people who are fairly well known, and this is the next step, right? So it starts off as entry-level podcasts. You have a couple thousand followers, and then you kind of get to the 100,000 game, 150, 200,000, and then you kind of move on to the next phase, which is, you get a form of syndication, which is going on to one of these networks. And the thing that I really liked about Spreely TV is that there was no pushing. There was no major contract. They recruited me, and I said, hell yes. I love Dominic's show. I love Dominic Izzo. I reached out and I just said to him the following: dude, I think you're a really upfront guy. You're pretty honest, and thanks for just being you. That was it. That was it. And he's like, dude, who are you syndicated with? And I'm like, nobody. And he started asking me questions. I'm like, I have no idea what any of this means. And then he's like, well, I'm going to introduce you to the owners of Spreely TV. And I'm like, okay. And then, I took a look, and then they called, and I talked to Dominic on the phone, and then I talked to Terry, and he's like, I like your product. I like what you guys do. And here we are. So
that's awesome.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. Yeah. Not too bad. Not too bad. So we're going to have to, see how it goes. So right now, we're already pushing 100 plus, which is great. It's good to see. Have a whole bunch on YouTube, whole bunch on, Facebook right now. Spreely, I can't tell, and I can't tell on Rumble. So if you are on Rumble or you're on Spreely, Olivia's monitoring Rumble
and YouTube. Question.
Yeah.
Does it help to play the shows on Spotify while they're live?
Oh, you mean like rebroadcast it? Who's asking?
Uncle Stumpy.
He
said, does it help to play the show on Spotify, play the videos, and turn the sound down while watching the day show on Facebook?
Yeah, we don't stream to Spotify because it doesn't have the option at this point.
Oh, okay.
You can't stream. But I am going to adjust your light from the blue. And this is the cool thing, folks. We got Olivia a new lens, which is the lens that I use, and she's coming through 5x5. I just need to adjust her light. And this is the first time we've been live, so bear with me. I'm going to give her more of a... See, isn't that great? Just a little bit of purple. A little bit of purple. Hey, look right in the camera, Liv. There, right in the purple. Right in the purples. The purple derple. Just a little bit of purple. It's amazing. All right, so we got a lot to cover tonight. It's good. Leroy, we're going to get him a camera, and he deserves it. But Olivia has spent a lot of time trying to help me get this right for her and get it all set up. So let me just do one more thing. Sorry, folks. We tried to get this done beforehand, but it's been an insane to the membrane day. Hey, Liv, look forward.
Don't even go. Oh, what a day.
So what was your day like there, Leroy? I mean, it seems like you've had an eventful day.
Oh, the news cycle alone has been enough to stress anyone out, right? And I've had at least 3 or 4 different people who do not know each other reach out to me because they know what I do, and they basically are asking, "Hey, are we going to war? Are things really that bad?" And so that was one of the reasons I wanted to make sure that we address that tonight. We can kind of
let's talk about it. I mean,
yeah,
we've been talking about it the last few evenings. Liv, you're looking great. You're looking great. Just looking.
Oh, she looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So let's get into it. So Leroy, you walk us through it. Here's I'm getting the same questions. I got it at my barbershop.
Sure.
I got it. I've gotten it on live several times, and I've been asked by friends and at the diner. We talked about it. So why don't you walk us through it, what your thoughts are, and then we'll all kind of listen, and then we'll chime in.
So a lot of the questions that I get tend to revolve around, is there going to be a major invasion from a third country into Hamas or into Israel from one side or the other? And really, when you start breaking down the size of the problem and the geopolitical kind of fulcrums that exist within the area, I got to tell you, folks, I just don't see it happening. a lot of countries have been pitched as far as people kind of theorizing whether or not someone is going to go into West Bank and Gaza Strip. And the fact of the matter is that like your lead contenders would be countries like Egypt, but Egypt isn't, Egypt has less love for the Palestinian people than most other countries. They don't like Palestine. They had a hard time kind of ruling over it when they were there between like 1949 into the 50s and 60s and almost into the mid 70s. I think they got out of there in like 1973.
Egypt?
Egypt ruled over that area.
Yeah,
from
correct.
49 to 73. And so I don't see where they're going to be very interested. I mean, we have to remember that it was the United States that basically had to beg Egypt to allow humanitarian aid to pass through their territory into West Bank, Gaza Strip, just to allow for just regular humanitarian aid. So I that had to have been kind of forced upon by the United States. So I don't see where they want to get a lot of heavy involvement in the area. What are the other countries that are in the area? Jordan, Syria. Jordan doesn't have a lot that they can, at their disposal that they would throw that way. I don't see them as being very interested. I don't see Syria as being a viable partner because they're in the middle of a civil war themselves.
You don't see, but you haven't seen the IRGC forming on the Syrian border though. So I understand they're in a civil war, but they are forming on the Syrian border.
Well, and so I was thinking about that specifically about Iran. Iran's population is mostly Persian Shia, right?
Yep.
But Hamas is mostly Sunni Arab.
Sunni, yep.
So the only partnership that they have that can exist there is at a very localized level, basically just within enough reach to basically say, you scratch my back on this issue and I'll scratch yours. But there's no deep-rooted love between those two philosophies. So
except for their hatred of
exactly.
Israel. And that's this is where you're seeing the Muslim countries putting up the single solitary finger and talking about the Arab nations uniting. So
absolutely. But what I'm saying is, so in terms of actual boots on ground, I don't see them working together very well. And so when we're talking about like a third world war or the way it's been kind of pitched by some groups, I just don't see it happening. At the end of the day, this is a battle of philosophies and a battle of historical precedents, not necessarily one of resources. That's just my take on it.
Okay. So if it is what's up?
Bad news. It's top of the first and they only scored 2 points.
2 runs. Okay.
I'm not going to
All right. Jump on out. So you've got a situation where we can go ahead and say we don't see the Arab nations joining in full-fledged world war. But what I tried to explain to people is world war isn't decided by proxy. World war isn't decided by smaller nations going at each other's throats. A world war isn't Vietnam versus the United States. A world war isn't Iraq versus the United States. A world war isn't the United States versus Lebanon, which ultimately is going to happen. We'll talk about that. And it's certainly not Israel versus Hamas and Gaza or West Bank. A world war is identified as 2 superpowers or more engaging in war, cross-ocean, cross-continent type of escalated violence. Now, we haven't declared war as a country since World War II, and you won't see that necessarily happen. The ramifications of war versus conflict, I think most people learn their lesson, is that they don't want to escalate to a world war. And when you declare war against a country, that's a little bit different than open conflict or running proxy. So where Leroy talks about the Arab states, that really focuses on Israel versus essentially everybody, because that's what it would be. It's Israel versus everybody in the Middle East, and that's a regional conflict. Where my concern is how do we go ahead and pull in a superpower or a pseudo superpower? Russia has no interest. They can't even handle Ukraine, for God's sake.
Right.
China doesn't necessarily want war. China wants Taiwan and wants economic superiority around the world. That's what China wants more than anything. Now, it doesn't mean that China's afraid, and China won't put carrier groups, as minuscule as they may be, in different waters to kind of flex the arms of freedom and communism. Totalitarianism with communism, as we flex the arms of freedom and democracy. So you're going to get a situation where what worries me isn't the superpowers posturing. It goes back to the days where we can go and look at Greek mythology and look at Achilles, or we can go back and look at Roman emperors. And if you look at Darius, and where the two opposing armies are facing off in close proximity to each other, and both sides don't want war, but they go out and they get in their ceremonial garb and they shine their swords. And as they stand off in front of each other with about 50 yards in between, one of the commanders sees a snake on the ground, and he draws his sword to decapitate the snake because he doesn't want to get bit. And as he strikes the sword down to kill the snake, the other side draws their arms, and then we have open conflict. Wars have started for less. That's not a true story. It's actually a true story. And, we saw this with the Cuban Missile Crisis. We've seen this other times in less well-known type of conflicts where certain things have happened, whether it's a stray sub that gets lost or an accidental shooting. You saw that with the Liberty off the coast of Israel. Things happen. You've seen that with the airliners being shot down from Iran. Things can escalate. And I think what Leroy's saying is that World War III is certainly not going to start because of the Middle East. It'll start because of two superpowers in protecting of one side or the other, more than likely China and Russia in support of Iran, and the United States and the European allies in support of Israel, having some sort of crossing sabers to create the cutting the head off the snake, so to speak. And that's where we need to be worried. Leroy, I'm sorry for the length of it.
No. I would completely agree. I couldn't have said that better myself. If you're talking about World War III, to Matt's point, we're talking about superpowers. We're talking about nations with an actual army and navy and air force. And although Israel certainly qualifies on that part, does Hamas? And the answer overwhelmingly has to be no. The West Bank Gaza Strip is an area all of about 25 miles in length and about 5 miles wide on average. It's only about 141 square miles. It's got 2 million people in it. Israel is not going to lose a lot of sleep once they go in there and disassemble the parts of Hamas that they need to. They're going to defang them. And then at the end of the day, what's going to happen? Is Israel really going to sit there and think, all right, now we want to figure out if we want to occupy this territory? They don't want that area. They never did. They just wanted to be left the hell alone. And so I think what you're really looking at is this is going to be a Mike Tyson type lesser fighter type knockout, drag out fight. And at the end of the day, Israel is just looking to make sure that Hamas cannot strike like that ever again.
So in lieu of this, the only other thing I would say is that if we try to focus on more of a regional conflict, Lebanon and the United States are going to war. I'm just letting you know. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that as soon as let me clarify, because I said this with Ukraine too, that they weren't going to go unless this happened. And when A happened, B and C naturally happened. If Israel winds up going into Gaza, which they are going to have to because of the tunnel systems that are in Gaza that are remaining, even though they took most of these out in 2021, and you're not hearing that from the news, they make it sound like they're the Viet Cong, for God's sakes. There are tunnels. They are dangerous. But Israel knows where they're at. And going in and taking those out, it won't be done by hand and foot. Israel has an abundance of a few things. And one of the things that Israel has is remote-controlled robots. that have incendiary and explosive devices attached to them, including flashbangs and other type of deployables. They will lead these robots in. Now, don't kid yourself. Hamas also has these, but they are rudimentary at best. They're not offensive systems. They're more cameras and infrared. But Israel has acoustics that they can listen far down those tunnels. They can listen for activity. These are not going to be the resting spots for very long for them. And I have no doubt in my mind that Israel will bring these robots in that are ultimately $25,000, $30,000 a piece plus ordnance and drive them in and set off charges that'll bring those tunnels down in a heartbeat. Israel has no problem doing this. And that's what you're going to see. They're not going to risk, Jews to do this. They're going to use robotics, and they will kill indiscriminately. If you want to see what these things can do, you can look at the 5 Dallas police officers that were shot during the Black Lives Matter rally in Dallas, Texas. And that gentleman held up on the second floor of a parking garage. He's a sniper, and he was very effective at what he did. And they sent up a robot with some food and some drinks, and then they ultimately killed him with no court, no jury, or anything else. And of course, all the liberals are like, he deserved a trial. And the Dallas police says, no, he fucking didn't. And we killed him. That was a bomb squad move. Good for them. Very similar. The Jews will do the same thing. So I'm not too worried about that. Your thoughts real quick, and then I want to get to Olivia's segment on this because she wants to chime in on this. Leroy, your thoughts on the tunnel systems. Is that the biggest threat that we face? Or is it that enough countries are supporting these terrorists and have them, will not extradite them back into Israel, that they're going to simply just recruit, refill ranks, and rinse and repeat and do this again?
Well, I think both of those are likely both true. Israel certainly has the technology by comparison to Hamas. I mean, basically, you're talking about the difference between like MIT and Fisher Price. And so what's going to happen is, to your point, they're going to send these robots, level the tunnels, and then that'll be the end of that as a potential way in. The other part of that, though, is which countries are going to get involved. I mean, I just went through a list. I don't see Egypt or Jordan or Syria or Iran, oddly enough. I don't see a lot of cooperation there. I see a little bit of cooperation, but at the end of the day, they're like two angry siblings that are just going to end up cutting each other's throats at some point.
Do you think Iran knows that if they get involved from a ground standpoint that we're going to hit their nuclear facilities? Do they know this, or do you think that they don't care?
That's a tough one. To kind of speculate what Iran thinks we know or how we will react. But I think that Iran really has to be cautious. Iran's one of their biggest exports, and whether or not this is on the up and up or not, is oil. And all of their oil leaves from Karg Island. Now, Israel is just brutal enough that if they really wanted to take out Iran as a major player in world finance, it wouldn't be a far stretch to say, all right, well, one sortie onto Karg Island would eliminate Iran from the world financial stage for a decade, probably more. So I think Iran really has to be careful. If they're going to go that route, it's not going to be as a direct action. It won't. It will be with, we're going to give you some weapons. We're going to finance a few things. We're going to try and send in some groups with no names or anything like that. But they're not going to openly go in. I don't see that happening. I think the repercussions of Israel's backlash would be devastating.
Yeah. Fair enough. But we still need to go in and hit those reactor sites. We have to. I mean, it comes down to this. If not now, then when? Right. I mean, it's just to the point where you saw this, and I know this came across message traffic, and I know this came across flash traffic. Is Iran set up a satellite into geosynchronous orbit into space, and they are literally. This was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, right. And if you can do that, you're one step away from an intercontinental ballistic missile, because all you got to do is figure out reentry and a targeting package and a proximity based upon hitting a major U.S. city. And like I said before, they don't have to get close. They just got to this is horseshoes and hand grenades. As long as they hit somewhere in the United States, that's all they care about. So
Right.
they're working backwards. They're getting Russian technology. Russians are helping Iran, and that's one of the trade-offs for all the mercenaries and any of the other type of supplies that Iran is supporting Russia against Ukraine is obviously trading secrets when it comes to rockets, because their rocket program was literally in the Stone Age. North Korea was ahead of Iran, and now all of a sudden, within a year and a half's time, Iran is probably top 5 in outside of a major superpower who with rocket technology. If you can get a satellite geosynchronous into space, listen, that's not an easy task.
No, that is huge.
Yeah, so we need to hit these things. If we don't, we're going to go down. Speaking of all of this, I want to give it over to Olivia. She's actually
Hi, Olivia.
Hi, Leroy. There was actually a really good question before I.
Oh, okay. Well,
that has to do with
give
this,
us the question.
Okay.
Man, your picture looks amazing. Like that lens is awesome.
It's not the lens, it's her.
Thank you, Leroy.
Right. Okay.
You're
Sorry,
welcome.
You're right. It's not the lens. See this. Damn you, Leroy. Go ahead.
All right. So, hello, Matthew. Great show as always. I have a question. What is your opinion on former CIA chief of the Bin Laden unit in the mid-90s, Michael Schur, I think, and his stance towards Israel being bad for American business and international diplomacy? It's a good question.
Oh, it's a really good question. So I think it's a loaded question. I'm a little afraid to dive into it because answering it would assume that I would believe that Israel is bad for international business and diplomacy. I happen to agree. I said earlier when this conflict started, and Leroy, I'd love for you to chime in too. I said earlier when this conflict started, by the way, folks, we have a new phone number, 804-212-2208. You can actually just call in now. You don't have to use video. So if you want to call into the show, it's available. I'll put this right up here so y'all can see it a little bit bigger. But you can call in if you want to. I'm going to take this segment and then we'll take some calls. I said at the beginning of this whole, I guess you can say war, because Israel has declared war against Hamas, but that's not, they're not a state. So we're going to call this a conflict. That you were going to see a bunch of mask slippage in this country. And as we saw a lot with China when it came to COVID, you started seeing a lot of, degradation and anger towards Chinese people. But even during that time, they were on the uprise as having a lot of hate crimes reported. And now it's even more so. And as far as demographics from overall, a very large demographic, and transgenders still will always lead the hate crime number, but they're also a very small percentage. Not that it makes it any better, but when you look at Jews, they're a very large demographic in the United States. And what I said was you are going to see a bunch of mass slippage where people are going to openly demonstrate hatred towards Jews. And I'm not going to call it anti-Semitic anymore because the Semites are a hell of a lot more than just the Jews. In fact, that entire area is all Semites. So it doesn't mean that Arabs can't be anti-Semitic towards Jews, because they are. But when you say anti-Semitic, everyone associates that with Jewish people, but it's not just the Jews. So when I say hatred for Jews, this is 3,000 years of history. It's not just Germans and Nazis who hated the Jews. Arabs have persecuted Jews. The Romans persecuted Jews. The Persians persecuted Jews. This is not just one thing. And honestly, Israel and the Jewish people have persecuted Christians throughout history too. This is a multifaceted problem where everybody has their hands dirty. But the one consistent thing that you can see when it comes to the Jewish people is they are the most hated.
Yep.
It easily. I mean, and it's not just, I mean, you can see from the amount of phone calls that we've gotten into this show, and, Nick Fuentes' guys calling in and stuff, they hate Jews. I mean, they're going to tell you they don't. They're like, oh, we love everybody. No, you don't. And we know you don't by your rhetoric and what you say. And there's a lot of animosity towards the Jewish people. So when people say for international business, I think what you're looking at is that you're going to put a very tight stranglehold on the Middle East where a lot of money is made simply because that everything American dollar based is attached to oil. And if you start running up those areas, if you start putting blockades in these thoroughfares, whether it be the Suez Canal or you put it through the Gulf or you put it through the Red Sea or the Mediterranean, and you have conflict, you're going to slow down shipping times. You're going to slow down overall goods and services and textiles and mercantile coming from one place to another. That's not good for business. But you also have animosity where people will pull money from banks that are owned by Jews or certain goods because it's retaliation against the Jewish people. So no, it's not good for international business and trade, but it goes both ways. Understand the Jewish community also has a lot of pull in those areas, and they will also punish Muslim countries and say, you know what, you won't go ahead and do this for us, and you won't stop these people from coming in across your border. Fine, then we're going to cut business ties with you, or we're going to extend our blockade farther north than just Gaza when it comes to allowing throughfare and shipping lanes. So none of this is good for conflict. Leroy, I've talked enough. I'll let you go ahead and answer some of that from a conflict standpoint, but also from an international trade standpoint.
Sure. Olivia, can you go ahead and repeat that? I want to make sure that I'm understanding with 100% clarity that question before I dig too deep into it.
All right, give me a sec. I got to find it. It's way back here.
No, I can find it easier than you. What was the person's name?
I have no idea.
International.
It was like Carrie, but it was like KH.
No, it's Kari. He's a long time listener.
Yeah.
Hello, Matthew.
That one.
Great show as always. I have a question. What is your opinion on former CIA chief of the Bin Laden unit in the mid-90s, Michael Schur, and his stance towards Israel being bad for American business and international diplomacy? Thanks, bro.
Okay. I think it doesn't really matter what Michael Schur, thank God, somebody like that isn't in charge, because at the end of the day, if any one of the heads of any one of the three-letter agencies all had their magic dying wish, I'm sure American trade policy and American foreign policy would look very, very different. Ultimately, at the end of the day, a lot of that has to go through the president, but not as much as you might think. Certainly, he can influence some policy, but a lot of that gets set forth through Congress and Senate. So the fact that he thinks that Israel might be bad for trade, I just don't see that. How could less choices be a better solution for anybody? How could ostracizing one nation simply because of their religious beliefs be better or worse for a community? I think it's very short-sighted for trade policy to exclude somebody like Israel that we've been partnered with for God knows how long.
Yeah, Leroy, I think we're missing
80, 90 years.
Can I cut back on that? Because I think the question is maybe escaping what you're talking about. He's not saying that we should. He's saying that this is going to be just ultimately going to happen by osmosis, simply because Israel in particular, for the reasons we said, is such a despised community with so many nations, predominantly the Arab nations, that international trade and overall geopolitical stability will be impacted. I think that's what he was saying.
I took that as specifically due to Michael Schur, but
how can he? He's a section chief, for God's sakes. I mean, the guy has no pull. Here's the question. Hello, Matthew. Great show as always. I have a question. What is your opinion on former CIA chief of the Bin Laden unit in mid-90s, Michael Schur, and his stance towards Israel being bad for America, business, and international diplomacy? I could see how you could read it that way. It's third reading. It does come off as that way. But this guy, that may be his opinion, and I happen to agree with him. But I think it's also, it goes both ways. This isn't a knife that cuts one way. Israel has a lot of pull. Yeah, Israel has a lot of pull in the international community. They may be, listen, Israel may be hated by a lot of people, but also people understand, even the Arabs understand that Israel has to stay. The days of all the Arab nations wanting to destroy Israel is no longer. And the reason why is because there's two. One is that Israel has a nuke, and you're not going to get Israel out of there anyway until you're a nuclear power. And that ultimately is going to create nuclear holocaust, because if Israel gets nuked, good night. It's good night. Right. The Middle East is going to be a sea of glass. So, but there is an understanding that the Palestinians aren't loved by Arab nations. And it's simply because, look at the reaction. Arab nations are trying to flee, and Egypt shut its borders down. Syria is like, no, we're putting the IRGC along the border. And if the Arab, and let's face it, Palestine isn't a country. It's a mass exodus from several Arab states that have matriculated to one spot. And when the Romans ultimately negated Israel and forced them out of Israel and they fled to Europe, rival countries like Turkey, and the gypsies and the nomads came from all different kinds of countries, Morocco, Turkey, et cetera, came and matriculated into Palestine. They're not a state. They're not a people. There's no such thing as Palestinian people, even though you'll hear people say that. It's not a state. I understand people say, well, wait a second, it was, and it was on the map, and Israel wasn't even there. Well, that's because they pushed the Jews out. But you can go back, like I said, to the Ottoman Empire, 1830, 1836, something to that effect. Is ultimately, it was sold by the Ottoman Empire to the Israeli people. You can go back and even go to biblical times and to King David, where he named Jerusalem. You can go back and track the Palestinian people when they were Syria Palestina. They weren't they were not named as a solitary state. So, and it's not saying that Palestine aren't a people and we can't respect their boundaries and who they are. But this whole two-state solution is absolutely ridiculous. Right. And it's why it will never work, is because they have no claim to it. And I don't, I'll have that argument with anybody, because it's not about a religious implication. It's not about who's there. It's that they have a writ and a deed of sold land, and it's theirs. And you can take this back to the Canaanites. I mean, if you want to go back that far, you can, where Palestine ultimately ends on a very short time period in a very short timeline. What else do we want to add to this?
I would just add one last thing, because the question seemed like it was also pointed towards international trade, or our policies with regard to international trade. So long as the human condition exists for the quality of greed, which I think is a good thing, right? Greed, I come straight from the Walter Williams mold on this one, that greed is one of those overriding motivators that says that I'm going to trade with Matt. Doesn't matter if I like him or dislike him. If he has something that I feel like I need to have based off of, something that he has, and I have a certain dollar amount, I'm going to make that trade. Doesn't matter if I like him or not. So in taken in that context, something like greed is a good thing, because it forces countries to trade with one another, even though they may not like each other. Just like what we were talking about before in terms of Hamas being Sunni Arab. But Iran is Persian Shia. Egypt, Israel being mostly Jewish. So there's a lot of trade that's going to happen, that could happen there, if people could get over these ideological roadblocks.
Yeah. So Olivia unfortunately has been out of this, and Olivia, you did ask. I tried to kick it off after 10 minutes.
It was a good question.
It was a good question, and it did segue. Yeah. So would love for you to kind of walk us through how the contact happened. And I know anonymity is very important in this conversation, because the people identified don't want to talk about it. But this is actually a really cool thing. So you want to go ahead and kick us off for this?
Okay. So one of Hayden's friends at school is making I Stand With Israel bracelets, which you have the pictures that Matt will put up. And I just saw it on Facebook. I'm friends with the mom. And they are selling them for $10 a piece, and it's all going to the IDF. Yeah,
that's correct.
Yep, going to the IDF, all of it. So $10 a piece. We purchased a couple, and then I just started talking to her, and I said, "Hey, can I give a shout out on the show?" So
That's
$10 a piece. All of it will go to IDF. They're going to eat the cost for shipping. So I have got the link, or not the link. It would be for Venmo. So you have to have Venmo to do it, and it's just $10 per bracelet. And if you do order one, just make sure you put your name and your address so they can ship it to you. And I'm gonna.
I love
that
it.
way you could put it out.
Yeah, they sent us some, so we contributed.
Yep.
And
They're really cool looking.
yeah, they are. They're really actually high quality, and I put it around my mic because it cuts off my circulation. It's a little tight. I said to make it big, but I don't think they realized. So I think it's great. I think it's a great cause, and and listen.
I'm going to send you a picture of the Venmo.
So there's not a link on Dumb Nation. I offered to put it on the site, and Olivia said it's probably just a lot better to do it this way through Venmo. So I tell you, these people are reputable. You can reach out to me anytime, and if there is any issue or whatever, I'll hunt it down and make sure you're taken care of. So
I know we got ours in 36 hours after we ordered them. So,
Wow.
but
yeah.
so I just sent
That's
it
a
to
help.
you.
That's good turnaround.
Yeah.
So
It is bracelets for Israel is what it is. The Venmo. I just sent it to you.
So I'm looking for it right now. Okay, I just got it. There
Yeah,
it is.
texted
So if you guys want to go ahead and pick them up, they're $10 a piece. It's bracelets for Israel at bracelets-Israel. Liv, you could highlight that and put that in there at bracelets-Israel. And if you wouldn't mind, go over there, pick up a $10 bracelet. It's worth it. They're pretty cool. And
that's awesome.
head over to Venmo and do that. Yeah, pretty simple. I've been told to get some comments here. Misty has been adding some comments, so I figured I would. Mel, Russia won't engage because their puppet has been removed. Not sure what that
Russia probably won't engage, but I'm not sure about any Muppets that are going on, but I mean, it's not like they don't have their hands full right now fighting a war in Ukraine. So
is. Right.
they're just stretched
Misty-
thin.
Misty says they have been depleted in Ukraine. Honestly, though, if you can't even take over Ukraine, do people really think Russia's a threat to us? Well, I've been saying that for a long time. Russia's not a threat to us except for a nuclear threat. And even then, their missile system, I know we kind of sold it that Russia had been reinventing and reinvigorating their missile system. It's not true. They don't have the money. I would be shocked if, I don't consider Russia that way. Russia is weak, and Ukraine has shown that to the world. Their nukes probably don't even work. So Misty's saying the same thing I am. They work, and that would be foolish to think that they don't work, considering that they still have 600 plus of them, I believe, is the number, something close to that effect that we know of.
Yeah, even if it was only a small percentage that still worked, that would still be more than enough to end everything as we know it. So
yeah, and the one thing that you understand is maybe some of their old silos and ICBMs, but their submarines are not out of technology, and they, even though we understand where their boomers are, and if they tried to go ahead and go through our SONAS nets or try to make a break on the United States, but they don't have to get too close. I mean, understand this. If Russia wants to go ahead and get froggy, we're not going to get all of them, and they do have that capability. I think it's important to recognize is that Russia and the United States don't really want to get into a war with each other. And although Putin has been strong in what he has said, they understand what that means. I think there's still remnants of the Cold War that took place. It bankrupted Russia. I don't imagine Russia wants to get froggy with the United States.
agree.
See if there's anything else.
There is a really big chat thread going on, and a lot of people are asking a Misty Hallbreath to call in. Not sure why, but Misty, you would not be attacked if you
Why
call
would
in.
anybody be attacked?
I don't
How
know.
do you attack somebody on the phone? Can someone tell me how that happens?
Well, no, apparently she said something and a lot of people kind of got on
What
her
did she
for it.
say?
I
Why-
don't
Jumped
know.
on her.
Well, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard if you don't tell me
Let me see.
if something happened, because honestly, we've talked about this. Nobody should be jumping on anybody for having an opinion. I just read most of her
No.
comments. I don't know what she's naive about.
Yeah, Misty, call in.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'm confused.
So I just caught the tail end of the thread that she said she wouldn't call in because she would be attacked, but
Why?
you would definitely
By
not be
whom?
attacked if you called us.
By whom? I
don't know.
How do you attack somebody on the phone?
I don't.
I think we're all being
different-
a little. Yeah, go ahead.
A difference of opinion has never been anything where somebody's going to jump on somebody else. What gets you
Yeah.
jumped on this show is when you start overtly calling people names or demeaning them or belittling them in any way. But just a simple difference of opinion, no, that's not. You're not going to get blasted for that.
See, I don't understand what people are saying. I just read her comments, and I'm not hearing her challenge me on anything. Okay,
Something-
Kyung,
I don't
hold
think
on. Kyung says something. Oh, sorry, honey. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You go ahead.
I don't think she's challenging you. She said something about Putin or something.
All right, so let me read it.
So-
You stated Putin can't push around. Reality is that Putin can push around if he desires it. So he does not have fear to go against us.
So I don't know what it is.
I want to be okay. I'm not afraid of Russia, and I'm not afraid of Russia at all. And I've stated this thousands of times. Unless Russia decides to go ahead and trade ponies in the sky, that's really my only fear of Russia. Russia logistically can't sustain a war against Ukraine. I told you that when they put their mechanized division, it was going to get destroyed. Leroy and I both told you that they haven't learned anything from World War II. Blitzkrieg was the only way, but they were trying to leapfrog their freaking mechanized division. It's ridiculous. You can't do it. They could not literally keep up in the first 30 miles of the journey, for God's sake. We knew this was going to happen. We knew they were pushing in too close to winter. We told everyone this. Once Leroy had a little bit more of a thought process that Putin was going to go in at around 5 weeks. And then 3 weeks, once I saw him amass 300,000 plus on the border, I'm like, okay, holy shit, he's going in. But I also said that Ukraine could hold out indefinitely with proxy help from the United States. And I don't know anyone else that was really saying that. I don't think Leroy even encroached on the topic because Leroy couldn't, but I'm pretty confident that Leroy understood that too. Russia is not this big, giant behemoth of a military. They've got a lot of people. They have a lot of outdated equipment. There's nothing that they could send up in the Air Force that we couldn't shoot down from 500 miles away with a 1-to-10 ratio. There's nothing in their naval arsenal that is terrifying to me when it comes to asymmetric warfare. Then you get a little creative with Russia. But when it comes to standard technology, standard weapon systems, they're horribly outgunned. And they can't sustain a long period war against Ukraine, let alone the United States. So I happen to agree with her on this. But Putin being a pushover who wouldn't drop a nuke on European soil, I don't know about that. I think Putin, if he's put in a situation of do or die, he most certainly would. Leroy, I'm going to give you last word, and then we have to give it to Olivia because she wants to be a part of the conversation. Unfortunately, we're forcing her out, and I promised I wouldn't do that anymore, and it's both of us, so I'm going to give you last word.
All right. I will just absolutely agree with that. I don't think that anybody wants to see Russia and the United States get into a ground war in any way, shape, or form. Likely, they would be obliterated within, 2 days. They have shown that their effectiveness in Ukraine has been abysmal.
Good night.
And so when you're talking about an abysmal performance against basically a second-rate nation, and I'm just
Caller,
saying
1
that
second. We'll be right there.
I'm just saying that that's what Ukraine is. They're not like a superpower. And then you introduce the idea of that army then going against NATO forces? Yeah, that would not end well. And that's why we don't want it, because once we obliterated them on the ground, then the very next step would be what Matt is talking about, nukes in the sky. Nobody wants that.
Okay. All right. So we've got a caller. Tell me what your name is, please. Hey, caller, can you hear us okay?
I can.
Okay. Who are we talking to? Is that
It's
Mel?
Mel. Yeah,
Mel?
it's
Hi, Mel.
Okay.
Hi.
All right. What do you want to talk about, Mel?
Well, just on this last thread, because it's been really long, And I know you're just jumping through comments because you're really, really busy. It's been a really long thread, and I wish she would call in because she's kind of all over the map. She's young, and some of us young and myself and whatever have been trying to give her a little bit of education as to this is not like she's really paranoid about Russia and US, and I'm like, that's not the focus. Like, she doesn't quite understand that Russia's not the big threat anymore. Like, they've got other things to do, and they're not there yet. Like, they don't have manpower, they don't have firepower, they don't have that's the thread of the conversation. So I just wanted to hope that she will call in, because nobody on the thread that I saw was attacking or threatening or whatever. We're just trying to feed some information, and then it kind of went all over the map with her comments. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It's nobody on that whole thread, and it was a really, really, really long one. I'm sure you can go back and see it if you want afterwards, but nobody on the whatever. We're just trying to put our 2 cents in for those.
Mel, how are you feeling? I care more about that. How are you feeling?
I'm having a really good couple of weeks.
You sound strong. You sound good.
I know. I got some.
Yeah, you do.
Some new meds. So things are. I can actually talk and the only thing is, if I get really, really excited, then that's when things still go
we'll keep you
down
calm.
the toilet. But
we'll keep you calm.
Yeah.
So let me just answer this. Russia is not a threat from an Air Force standpoint. They're not a threat from the Navy standpoint. Their submarines are the only thing that they are a threat of, in my opinion. Their Bear Foxtrots, if their Bear Foxtrots get in the air, they're done. Listen, 3 seconds after they go ahead and spin those Bear Foxtrots up, we know. Satellites are geosynchronously positioned over all major air bases in Russia. IFF transponders kick off. If they turn those off, we understand that. Any fighter squadrons kick off, we understand that. Here's the thing. Someone asked me how many subs that they have. If I'm not mistaken, I think they have 10, 12, 14, and 8. 8 special class submarines, 14 nuclear boomers, 22 boomers. They've got a variety of diesel. And then they have 10 nuclear attack subs and then a few kilo SSs. So I think total, if I'm doing this right in my head from what I remember, I think it's somewhere of like 38 to 40 submarine submersibles, all variant degrees of quality. But their biggest that they have are boomers, which are 22, which are their nuclear subs, which can fire a sub vertically from a certain amount of depth. Leroy, am I close?
You are very close for someone who's not going to comment on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. And nothing I'm saying is classified because I'm not telling you, I'm not telling you anything that you can't figure out, but I can understand why he isn't. Mel, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it just depends on how many parts and pieces are stolen, just like everything else with the Russian military. Like, you just have to look at all the apples and go, yes, on paper, it looks like this. Everybody does stuff on paper, but when it comes to real time, whatever, and I agree with Leroy, it's like, we won't go anywhere, whatever. But I'm just saying they're not the problem. And between the U.S. and us looking after the bears on the northern end of the whatever, it's inconsequential at this point in the world dynamics. They're not a player.
Let me just put this to bed, okay, so we can move on. Here's what it comes down to. Hypersonic missiles, if Russia is touting that their coolest technology is hypersonic missiles, they're not a threat, okay? That's it. If they're saying we have hypersonic missiles that go at Mach 10, 12, we attach a nuclear-tipped warhead on that thing, and you're not even going to know it's going to hit you before it hits you. If they're posturing that way, it means conventional warfare is not their strength. So they are using a hyper technology that they're advanced in. That would be like the United States saying that their missile cruisers can ultimately destroy any country. And you're like, wait a second. Why are you talking about your missile cruisers? Why aren't you talking about your entire fleet, which has the ability? So Russians are getting myopic for a reason, is because that is the one technology that can beat CIWS. I mean, let's face it. It's extremely fast.
That's true.
And Sea-Wiz can get into an aircraft carrier. There's no doubt if Russia and the United States headed off, they could probably get a carrier. They're not going to get a carrier group. They may take out a carrier, but by the time we retaliate, we're going to light them up like the frickin' Christmas tree. But a hypersonic missile could possibly, theoretically, overwhelm. But here's the problem. They don't have 1,000 hypersonic missiles. That's the problem. And I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm just going to tell you that it's not enough, and it's not a lot, and it's certainly not enough to take out a carrier. The first one that comes in, they will adjust, and that's the cool thing about Sea-Wiz and the Aegis system is that it is learned, and other systems I can't tell you about are learning. Artificial intelligence has been implemented in a lot of our defense systems. You're going to get one shot, and you better make it count. Leroy, you going to say anything? Or are you going to shut up?
I am, but I'm going to. Well, I have to be very careful here.
I know you do. I know.
I will say this. The hypersonics that they're advertising cannot be deployed in nearly the numbers that you would expect that would be needed to be effective. They could certainly send some out, but not like what most people think. And it wouldn't be as effective as what most people think. So there's that.
That's right. Speed isn't necessary. Go ahead, Mel.
100% Leroy.
All right. Well, we all agree. People are asking where Mike is. Mike's coming on tomorrow morning. And you know what? There's nothing worse than open and closes. So I'm going to have to tweak and adjust the schedule to figure out how we're going to do this because I just did the math in my head. We're going to talk about so much tonight. A lot of stuff has to happen by the AM. So, and then I also understood, I know what happened in Syria. I'm not mentioning on it. I'm not going to talk about it. It's first of all, respect for Leroy. Second of all, we understand that Syria was hit several times tonight by Israeli forces. You can anticipate this happening. Hezbollah, Hamas, PIJ, the Houthis. I mean, you got a lot of terrorist groups that are all fired up, and that whole signification of one Arab nation where everyone's holding up for them to unite. The Arab nations may not, but a lot of these terrorist groups are, and they realize that there are numbers in forces. And the last thing I would say is I think people need to be more worried about Lebanon and the United States right now than any other country. I don't think China's going to go into Taiwan right now. I don't think Russia's going to get froggy with the U.S. I think we need to be worried about what's in front of us, which is Lebanon and the United States. And that right now is like, if we're going to DEFCON that sucker or a state of readiness, I'm thinking we're at a 2 when it comes to that. I think this is a very serious threat. And this is red.
Honestly, I was a little surprised that the Houthis were in the news the other day.
I wasn't. I called it. I said Yemen's going to get froggy when we go ahead and put a carrier up there to protect the Red Sea. You got to watch that show because I did say it, and I said the Houthis are going to get involved, and it's going to be Yemen or Oman is what I said, and it would wind up being Yemen.
Yeah.
So Leroy and I both know these areas very, very well because this was his. I'm not going to say anything. My predominant area is Russia and Asian Pacific, but secondary in Iran and Middle East, and it's just an area that we understand very, very well. Okay, Mel, thanks for calling in, buddy. We love you. Bye.
Mel.
If anybody else wants to call in, 804-212-2208, provided by Skype. Thank you, Skype. Let's go ahead and you going to bed?
Yes.
We love you. Good night, sweet pea.
Love you.
How was the lasagna tonight?
Delicious.
That was delicious.
Outstanding. Dad killed it. All right, let's go ahead and
you made
go
lasagna?
Yes,
I did.
He did.
I
it
did.
Was so good.
It was delicious.
Let me see if I can back this out. I screwed up. Nope, I can't. Okay, so I'll just do this. Watch this magic. Bam. Take off that. Go there. Take off Olivia. Then next would be Olivia and then Leroy. Nope, take me off. Take Olivia off. Take Skype off. Take Skype off.
While Matt is screwing around with that, a big shout out to our sponsor, Spreely TV.
It's pretty cool. Spreely TV. All right. So we were on there. People were asking, hey, how many are on Spreely? I don't know. I know right now we're pushing like 175. Yeah. We've got 129 on Facebook and YouTube. And then I can't see Rumble live.
Rumble 34.
Okay. And then I know we've got some on Spreely. So this is great. We love it. Let's get to the next thing. I want to be able to get off tonight and go see my Astros, hopefully not lay an egg. They're at home and I don't have a lot of faith, to be completely honest with you. This is a video.
War is always bad, specifically.
Oh, my
that-
favorite person.
Oh, now, Olivia, I want you to talk first because you're not going to know. Leroy and I are just going to, okay, Leroy, we're going to keep it to one sentence. Okay. We're not going to go and start diving into the power structure and the model of power and energy and overall productivity from military equipment because this is the dumbest thing I have heard in the last hour. But here it is. Listen to Greta Thunberg with her stance on EV military equipment. You got to be fucking kidding me.
How dare you?
Yeah, no shit. Here it is. This is the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my life. I am trying not to throw up in my brain.
War is always bad, specifically for the planet. If we want to continue fighting battles like environmentally conscious humans, we must make the change to sustainable tanks and weaponry.
Can I give her a compliment? She's becoming quite pretty and she's getting out of her awkward phase. And I'm really proud of her because you know what? Being autistic is tough enough in the world. And I don't mean to pick on her. And this isn't a softer side of me or because, you know, whatever. I'm just saying, you know what? I don't like picking on her. I think she's being taken advantage of. I think her ideas are batshit crazy. I don't like this human being, but good for her for coming out of that awkward phase. But can you please stop this crap? Can you just go to college, drink some beer, get laid, have a good time, smoke a bowl, whatever it is you're going to do. And then, you know, you can decide later how you're going to spend the rest of your life. But this is nonsense. Here's the rest.
There are so many new concepts for battery-powered fighter jets that can carry many more missiles. Biodegradable missiles, of course. Something literally everybody can do to stop this nonsense is
she talking about a cellulose laser-guided bomb made out of paper? Right, it's disposable. Right, well, they have those, but that's not the way they work. Here we go.
For example, block the roads to gardens and farms so the plants don't get overrun by these heavy, heavy tanks. Hand grenades, very important. If you use hand grenades, please use vegan grenades. No animal should have to give their life for all this mayhem and chaos. They have a special sticker on them. You really can't miss them in the grenade market or wherever you buy them. Yeah, I cover all of this and more in my newest book, Vegan Wars.
I ordered Willie magazine.
Was that real?
Yeah, dude.
What the hell's a vegan? What?
You can't
I
test it
don't know.
on. They call it vegan makeup because it's not tested on any animals. Listen, at this point, I think she's just fucking with us, right? Pardon the language, folks. I've been really good tonight, but that's the only thing. She's fucking with us. Someone fact check this. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that this isn't real. I didn't have a chance to like, I thought maybe this would have just been funny, right? But when she's talking about EV planes, is that anything crazier than when she said she wants EV commercial flights? Because she called for EV commercial flights. Is it anything crazier than that she wants 30% of the overall automobiles in the United States and Europe by 2025 to be EV, and she wants a 100% conversion by 2030? Because it's not fast enough. We've got to do it now. We're all going to die. Is it real? Somebody tell me.
Liv, you got to go first.
I have a hard time believing anything that comes out of her mouth, so I don't know if it's real or not. I mean,
vegan grenades.
What the hell's a vegan grenade?
It's a deep fake. It's got to be a deep fake. It's got to be a deep fake. Does anyone? All right, hold on.
You know what?
Wait.
Wait.
Let's take a vote. Let's take a vote first before we go, Liv. I'm voting. It's a deep fake. This is complete bullshit. It's got to be a made up video.
It's got to be AI.
What do you think, Liv?
Yeah.
Are you voting AI?
I do. I think this is along the lines of the video of the girl who said she was suing her parents.
Okay. Is everyone ready? Is everyone ready? Yeah. Does anyone want to call in and find out if this is does anyone want to call in? If not, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what it is. Does anyone want to know?
Sure.
I do.
Anyway, well, I'm gonna see if somebody wants to call in. Are you ready?
I'm just trying to imagine.
Let's watch it again.
That Ben and Jerry's has somehow gotten in bed with Lockheed, and that somehow we're going to start making GBU bombs from yogurt.
Cellulose.
I'd love to know how that works.
Recycled plastic. Here it is. Let's watch it again.
War is always bad, specifically for the planet. If we want to continue...
All right. Now let me show you how to figure out that it's a deep fake.
The lips.
Just watch her mouth. Everybody watch her mouth. You'll know in 10 seconds. Here it is.
War is always bad, specifically for the planet. If we want to continue fighting battles like environmentally conscious humans, we must make the change to sustainable tanks and weaponry. There are so many...
It's a deep fake.
Yeah.
So here's how you know. There's a couple things. The mouth, everything else they've really got down. The eyebrows and the mouth are the two things that are very difficult for them to replicate right now. But the voice obviously isn't. AI voices have got incredibly good. Let me give you some examples if people want some. Here's one. This is a picture coming in right now of my beautiful wife, my son, and my daughter when we went to Gettysburg. I'm sure everyone thinks that's really cool, right? Good picture. Little Abe Lincoln. Did you say Abe Lincoln?
I miss her hair.
No, I said, hey, Blinken.
I said, hey, Blinken. Her hair did. I can't believe.
She straightens it every day.
She's beautiful either way, but still probably kind of crazy that she did. Cut that. All right. So now that we've got that, let me find this. Hold on. Headshots. Where'd they go? Headshots. Sorry, gang. Here it is. So that picture of Olivia, let me show you what happened. With one button push, we were able to recreate artificial intelligence hands. Liv, are those your hands?
No, that's not my hand.
No. But are they?
It sure looks like my
Thank you,
hand.
Liv. That's what I'm asking. If you were to bet, are those your hands?
It sure looks like it.
Yeah, so those are your hands. The background completely fake. They inserted a tree where Abraham Lincoln's arm. I did nothing else to this photo. I literally put in field, flowers, and tree, and it changed the background, and it put in all of that fake. And you can't tell that that's AI. Here's some other examples. We got a picture of our good buddy Leroy, which is coming in right now.
Oh, hell.
Now, this picture was not the best because it was taken with an iPhone. And although a good picture from the rule of thirds, congratulations, good sir. The rule of thirds are showing very, very well. I said I thought it was a little dark on his face. It's not as bright as it needs to be. And we need to adjust it. So simply with AI, I was able to put him behind a waterfall.
Look at that.
Where it makes sense and he pops and he looks crystal clear. Another example is I wanted to be in a suit and damn it, I just look good in a suit. And there you go. There's my picture. I didn't have to do shit to it. It just looks that good. So that one we don't need to go ahead and
Those
keep
were
up.
your headshots.
Yeah, I know, but they look good. Damn it. I didn't have to do a damn
They always
thing.
look good.
So Mike sent in a picture with the horse and I liked the backdrop. And I love the picture. I thought it was great, but I'm like, you know what? We can make this look more like Propecia and, like a or a plaque psoriasis commercial and make it a little bit more effectively. So with just one little click, we were able to put that picture and put him with some flowing wheat and everything else. So artificial intelligence has done amazing things. Here's the last one I'm going to show you. I took a picture of Olivia literally coming out of bed and with her hair all messed up and whatever. And it took this and did that with Olivia. And the funny thing is it's not that much different than what she looks like when she's in a business suit anyway. Artificial intelligence is incredible. That's a deep fake video. And here's the thing that I wanted to talk amongst all of you. Can we believe anything anymore? My God. It's getting scary and I'm having a hard time. Now, I have a few tricks of the trade. I have some software that I use that I can backlog and look at images all over the internet and it's ridiculous. I can get results in like 0.22 milliseconds. It's crazy that will track images and stuff. But there's going to come a point where this stuff is going to be hard for us to tell. If you told me, is that Greta? I wouldn't have looked if it wasn't for the last 10 seconds of the video where she talked about vegan grenades.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, this is bullshit. But up until that point, I believed it. What do you guys think? Liv, you start us off.
The whole thing was, like I said, everything that comes out of her mouth just sounds so stupid that it wouldn't have, I wouldn't have believed it was fake just because that's the stupid shit she talks about. So
All the time.
All the time. Everything that comes out of her mouth is just stupid and dumb. And honestly, it's along the lines of vegan grenades. So watching it, since I've got a delay on my screen and I can't match up the mouth to the sound, I was like, it sounds like something she would actually say. And I was cracking up because the late blonde lady that's interviewing her is like, yeah, like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, and I'm sitting there like,
yeah, right.
If that's actually real, wow, that
right
reminds me of the Drew Barrymore, Devin, whatever interview.
Oh yeah, when she was with Dylan Mulvaney and she got down with him, and she's like, I just want to embrace your inner female.
Yeah, everything she says is dumb. So it's like, whatever.
So does that bother you? I mean, because listen, let's face it, you get faked out. You used to, not as much anymore. You're really good about that. You follow the protocol that I've set before you, which is, honey, don't bring that shit to me unless you fact checked it. Unless you've actually have viable data. But you would come to me with all sorts of stuff, and I'm like, no, honey, that's not real. Like, oh my God, Matt, did you hear David Hasselhoff died of AIDS? And I'm like, what?
I never said that, but yeah, I get it.
I said like, honey, I can't remember all the things because there's a lot of them. And, am I wrong? Am I lying? Or
I was pretty stupid and naive when I was
stupid.
younger.
I never said you were stupid. I just said you got faked out by stuff.
No, I was pretty naive when I was younger. I was very shocked.
Hell, I've been faked out by some of that stuff. I mean, it's super easy to, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's stupid. I don't think it's a matter of intelligence, because you have an inquisitive mind and you look at it and go, oh my God, I'm going to bring this to him. And I did it. I've done it too. Don't you remember we did a show the other night? And here's a perfect example. Is we were laying in bed and we just got done doing The Beast with Two Backs. And she comes in and I'm reading and I see Fantastic Four on a comic book site. And I'm like, oh my gosh. First of all, I love Fantastic Four, but I hate the freaking movies. They've destroyed it. And I'm like, never make a Fantastic Four franchise ever again. I don't want to see it. Well, it was John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. John Krasinski is Dr. Reed Richards and Sue Richards was Emily Blunt. And I'm like, oh my God. I can't wait to see that movie because I love Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. And it was a fake. But of course, the first thing I do is get my hopes up and then I go and check. And every April Fool's, I see that Joss Whedon is reinventing Firefly and they're going to bring Firefly back on TV. And I'm like, son of a, I'm not falling for it this year. And I start diving into it and I find out it's fake. Those things are playful and easy, but this is to the point where it's so deceiving. It's almost like a sleight of hand with a magician. And unless you know the trick, you kind of believe it. What are the ramifications of this, Leroy? And then Livia, I would like to get your thoughts.
Well, it makes everyone question, the reality of what's happening around them, of everything that you see. Is anything that Joe Biden says then real, or Donald Trump, or any of the leading politicians? If it's so easily fakeable, right? If it's so easy to make these videos that throw off these false narratives, then what kind of impact is that going to have? Even when we're talking about voting, it wasn't. Remember, it was like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. There was I think he was in the Senate or Congress, and the dude had like one slip up where he's like, "Yeah." Right, and that was enough to cripple him.
That was oh God, what was his name?
Roberto.
No.
Matt knows who
Harry. No. It wasn't Reed because we know. Yeah, no.
Wasn't it when he said we're coming to get your ARs and he did the?
No. He was talking up and he's like, "Woohoo!" That's how he sounded, right?
Yeah. And so that one little snippet, that 1 second soundbite was enough to cripple that dude's campaign. And that was
he was
pretty
a douche
innocuous.
anyway. He was a douche.
But that wasn't my point. Is that, like, if that if that's all that it takes to kill somebody's campaign, then what happens when someone makes a deep fake for some politician that they don't like and it goes viral?
Yeah.
Right? Would that be enough to
Howard
kill
Dean.
somebody's
Howard
campaign?
Dean. Howard Dean. Howard
That's
Dean.
yep. Howard
You know
Dean.
what?
That's right.
We've got the video. Let's put it up.
War is always bad.
No, not you. No, not you, Greta. Stop it. Let's see if we can
Greta.
get this up. All right.
Yes.
Well, you guys, you have already got the picture here. I was about to say, I'm sure there's some disappointed people here. You know what? You know something? You know something? If you had told us 1 year ago that we were going to come in third in Iowa, we would have given anything for that. And you know something? You know something? Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. And we're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah!
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah. So that one 1 second soundbite was enough to cripple his campaign because it went viral. So if you get the same thing, if you can get the same effect, right, in faking something that never happened, right, you're literally, now we have viral videos that are now kind of guiding how we vote. I mean, that's pretty terrifying.
Well, and then it's all about the damage being done, right? Once the damage is done, who cares? I mean, look at Hillary Clinton. Right. Comey came back out, 7 days later and said, oh, well, you know what? We're not moving forward with the investigation, even though we reopened it. And that was it. That's all it took. It was over. I mean, that race was over. That's why she lost. And Hillary Clinton likes to blame everyone else, and she's blamed everyone in the sun. But that had a daunting impact on her campaign, and good, thank God. It's interesting. I was watching a video today of Hillary Clinton, and she was actually talking about Gaza and Israel. Holy shit, was she right? Here's the thing about Hillary Clinton. She wasn't bad at foreign policy. She just did everything she shouldn't do with foreign policy. She listened to Obama. Hillary Clinton is a war hawk. There's no doubt in my mind, but she understood the Middle East and she was very good at it. I mean, she said it straight out. She went after Gaza and said Gaza is going to go ahead and hit Israel in so many years. And she was right. I don't like Hillary Clinton. I despise that lady, but there's a couple things that she did very, very well. Foreign policy with the Middle East was something she understood better than anybody because she was a woman who couldn't stand being outdone by a man. Okay. And no, she didn't go ahead and stop sniper fire in Kosovo and all that other bullshit. But she did say some things about Israel and Gaza that are interesting. You should go listen to them. But it comes down to this. It worries me because not what happens when we have domestic issues is what happens when a foreign leader does this to go after a president or go after a senator or go after somebody on the Armed Services Committee, or Swalwell decides to go ahead and dip his dap in Fang again. This can be used as a weapon, and disinformation most certainly is. So it makes me kind of wonder, where are we going to be in the next 5 or 6 years when they get this thing dialed in? It's a little bit terrifying.
What's to stop the media from coming out with a story,
right,
and then making a fake AI video to back their story and their narrative?
Yeah,
like
very newsroom
kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah,
very newsroom with Willie Pete and talking about sarin gas. I mean, if you haven't seen that, you guys should watch it. Sorry, Liv, I'm turning that down right now. I just needed to give you a little more light, and I pulled it down. All right, so last one for the night. This is our favorite guy, Leroy Blumenthal, Mr. I served in Vietnam, Marine Corps, and should be castigated out, with Lindsey Graham. Now, the whole thing is Lindsey Graham gets a rap. I'm not going to say anything about this. I'm going to show you this, and I want to get your opinion. Remember, I don't like Hillary Clinton. I just told you she has said some things that are interesting, okay? A broken clock is right twice a day, please.
Sure.
Here's the video. Good luck.
War is
with
always
this.
bad, specifically for the...
This is the one thing I got to fix. I wasn't able to fix this. I apologize.
We could listen to Greta all day long.
Oh my Lord, this lady, I swear, she just drives me up the farkin' wall. But what's sad is that some of us were doubting whether it was real or not. That's how stupid she is. Listen to this. This is going to get a good reaction. Olivia first, and then Leroy.
Daniel Cohen, I'm the Jerusalem correspondent for Newsmax. I want to say thank you for being here. My family lives here. I made Aliyah 2 years ago. So this is personal. I know many people were sent from the United States, and there's international press from around the world. And I heard every single one of you voicing your support for Israel fervently, stridently. And I heard that, and I received that into my heart. And so on behalf of my family and people, I'm an American and an Israeli citizen, I say thank you. But it starts at home. And I'd like to ask any Democrat senator here that would like to speak to Rashida Tlaib. She still has a tweet up condemning Israel for a hospital attack. And
stop.
It's not a...
No.
It's a fair question, Senator Graham.
We are here together, not to talk about the problems at home, which are many.
It's a fair question,
I've got my
Senator.
own view of what to say. You're not going to screw this up.
I'm not trying to screw it up.
Get this guy out of here. Now, let me
live
tell
here.
you.
I'm an Israeli. I want an answer to the question, please.
I'm an American.
And I am too.
And I believe in free speech. I don't believe what the squad has to say at all. But I came here with Democrats and Republicans to let everybody in the world know, don't judge every Democrat by the squad, and don't judge every Republican by some of the things you hear. Where the House...
No comment.
Yeah. Where the House, they'll get their act together, but we need to do our job. We need to do our job in the Senate. We need to pass a bill that will help Israel, help Ukraine. That's at least what I think. I think the House will show up. And I'm sorry, my friend, I probably shouldn't have said it, but my nerves are raw right now.
Holy shit.
I think he jumped down the dude's throat a little fast. I mean...
Well, I heard Lindsey Graham likes to do that
Stop.
with most guys.
Just stop.
Yes, sir.
Jesus.
I'm sorry. Hey, there's no reason to use the Lord's name in vain, bro. Seriously. Come on.
That's funny.
Dude, I'm waiting. I want to hear because listen, there are people who are calling, the Democrats are calling him a hero. Because anytime a Republican says anything halfway decent to protect Democrats, they're going to use it. And everyone else is not saying a word. Dude, what do you guys think of this? Because to me, I've got anybody?
Yeah, everyone's got a right to free speech, but so does that journalist. He wouldn't let him finish talking. And it is a valid question. What about Rashida Tlaib? How come no one has said anything about it? How come no one has told her she has to take down the tweet or redact it and actually come out publicly and say she was wrong?
Yeah, has anyone filed insurrection charges against her or impeachment charges for how come she's not being classified as a terrorist or being classified as a domestic terrorist?
It's a very fair question, and it makes me wonder that it's a really sore spot in Congress and that there's some issues with it, but as opposed to coming out and saying, we're not going to talk about that. I'm sorry, no comment, blah, blah, blah. He just jumped down his throat. And that's a red flag that
he's a Newsmax reporter. He's a Jew and an American. And I mean, he has dual citizenship and holy crap, dude.
He had every right to ask it. And the fact that Lindsey Graham wouldn't let him finish and wouldn't let him actually ask it. He should have just let him finish the question and then answer calmly. And say, I'm sorry,
let me finish. Let me finish.
Exactly. I'm sorry, we're not going to talk about that right now, and then move on. But
Right. It wouldn't have been hard to say, listen, these are all valid questions. However, we're here to focus on Israel. And that's where our focus needs to be. I will personally have this conversation with you, and you can get me. You can quote me after. But I want to hear Leroy's before I go off. Leroy, go ahead.
I've got 4 points that I kind of want to address, but it'll take less than a minute.
Holy shit! 4 points in 17 parts. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Less than a minute. Ever since the show started, our show started, we have been saying ever since the beginning that Republicans and Democrats have more in common than what separate us.
Yep.
Now, and to that point, if that's what Lindsey's kind of where he was headed, that's great. But he got done just talking about free speech and then didn't let the guy finish. You know, if you're holding on to the value of, hey, we want to hear everyone's opinion, but not yours. We don't want you to ask that question. He made it very emotional. And whenever things get heated like that, that's a problem. You need to step back a little bit and let the guy finish his thought and then address it. What the guy was going to address was, hey, look, we just got done dealing with 4, 6, 8 years of hearing labels from the media talking about extremism in government. Here is an actual case of extremism in government. Senator, what is your take on it? We're not going to talk about it. Stop. Stop. And you're like, holy shit, dude, relax.
You did that very well. I'm gonna get that sound bite because I think that would be important. Here's my big thing about this, and it's real simple. First of all, Lindsey Graham he's a barometer, okay? And all he does is go with overall the amount of pressure and DBs that are being put out. And he's just going to go ahead and give you the temperature. And it's always based upon double speak. And he talks out of both sides of his mouth, right? Are you going to go after Hillary Clinton? You're damn right I'm going to go after Hillary Clinton. We're going to bring the full weight of the United States government on Hillary Clinton. But we also need to go ahead and hold ourselves accountable, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, this guy's a rat. He's always been a rat. I've never liked him. I've never liked him. And it's not that he was anti-Trump, because there's nothing wrong with being anti-Trump. Ted Cruz was anti-Trump. But Ted Cruz did it in the political fray. And let's be honest, Ted Cruz was the second runner-up. He had every right to contest at the RNC. He didn't support Trump with a full-throated defense. He didn't like him. And you know what? Donald Trump said his father killed Kennedy. So you know what? I exaggerate. He didn't say that, but he was part of the conspiracy. Yeah. That's not going to give me a lot of love for him. Lindsey Graham needs to retire. Lindsey Graham, and you know what? This may hurt my chances of ever getting an interview with him, and I'm really sad about it. But he needs to come out of the closet. And he needs to embrace his inner homosexuality, because I really believe that Lindsey Graham's gay. And I don't know what it is, but there's just, my gaydar goes off. And I think he'll be much happier when he comes out. And just embrace it, dude. Be an openly gay Republican. There's nothing wrong with it. But this whole thing where you just lash out at people for no reason because your feelings are raw. Dude, give me a break, okay? Joseph R. Biden, who has been one of the largest proponents of Israel outside of his time with Obama up until now. But before that, for 35 some odd years, Joe Biden visited Israel. He was friends with Bibi. He was friends with the previous prime minister. He has voted for every single bill for supporting Israel. Biden has a legacy. Now, when Obama came in, that's completely different. But he didn't even melt down like this with some of the reporters, even though Joe Biden didn't spend a lot of time. I think it's fake. I think it's bullshit. And, for Blumenthal even to be up on that stage, they're two of the biggest rats right there. Right there. Those are two of the biggest rats in Washington, both of them. That's my opinion. Liv, do you want to chime in? You have anything to say?
I think I already said everything.
All right. I think that's fair. Let's do this. I appreciate everybody on, first of all. If you haven't had a chance, write down the phone number. That's going to be on from now on, 804-212-2208. We had to wait for some software updates. Skype and the service that we offer wasn't working. We also had to narrow it down and really sit down and figure out the audio problems we were having. Leroy, did you have any echo, or is everything good?
No, everything was good tonight.
Great. Appreciate it. If you have not had a chance, stop by thedumbshow.com, but also Spreely TV. Spreely is going to be coming out with some new apps. They're redoing everything. The Freedom Hub network is transferring over to Spreely TV. They're going to have a full social media platform. They're going to be doing ad revenue for you if you share the Don't Unfriend Me show or the other shows on the Spreely network. They're actually paying people for doing that, which is great. I can't go into the dollar amount because that's between you and Spreely when you set up your account. with Spreely TV, you will have an affiliate code where every time you go ahead and refer the Don't Unfriend Me show, you get money for it. And dare I say, hypothetically, say you were to go ahead and get 10 people to join, it's $1. Just hypothetically. That's not a bad thing. You go ahead and you do that and, you know, you get 100 a day. It may not be the most lucrative job you've ever had, but who couldn't, you know, have an extra few $100s in their pocket each month?
Right.
So that's a pretty cool feature. So they're incentivizing, they're growing. There's already 9 million people in the network. They've got a big email list. They're going to be transferring hundreds of thousands of people over to the new network. So this is an established company. They're doing well, and we're going to support them full-throated support. Leroy, I'll give you your 1 minute. Liv, actually, you go.
I was just going to say the show on Spreely is still the Dumb Show, or is it Don't Unfriend Me?
Right now, it's going to be under Matt Spear, and I think it is Don't Unfriend Me. Double check it. I'm having everything switched to @the Dumb Show, like everywhere else. So right now on the social hub for Spreely, it's Matt Spear is my handle. He's changing that to the Dumb Show, and then Spreely TV. Let me find out where we're at real quick, and find out exactly what the tag is. I think it's Spreely Video. All right, let me see. Yeah, I haven't made it onto the main page yet. Let me check this real quick. Because they're not putting me on any of the old stuff. It's going to be on all the new stuff. Okay. Yeah, it's under Matt Spear as well. So if you were going to go to... Oh, it's @the Dumb Show. He changed it. What a great guy. He already changed it. So if you go right there, it's video.spreely.com @the Dumb Show. And what's cool is we get VIP status. So that's really cool. You get automatically prioritized. You get bumped. You're able to promote your stuff. This won't be a network that we don't grow on. This will probably overtake Facebook, and this will overtake pretty much our entire network once this thing goes live. That's the exciting part, because they're not throttling us. They're promoting us. They're actively sharing. We've got several hosts on there. Dominic Izzo sharing us. I've got a couple of other people. I think Craig Anderson is sharing us. And then this entire network is going to work together to, you know, kind of help each other grow. So I'm really excited about it. So do me a favor, go on over there and follow. I'd appreciate it. Leroy, you got your 1 minute, and then we're going to pop smoke.
Just a great show. We started off with whether or not, you know, World War III rumors were a thing or not. They're not, thank God. The rumors are, but the actual reality of the situation is this is going to be a knockdown, drag out fight between Hamas and Israel. We talked about Greta and deep fakes. God, thank God that was a deep fake. I just can't imagine.
Dude, seriously.
I just can't imagine, you know, gluten-free missiles being a thing.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
Right? We talked a lot about Russia, and we talked about Lindsey Graham and that kind of thing. So this is a good show. This is a really good show. And it's really exciting to be able to say that we now have Spreely TV on, you know, that's promoting us. I think this is fantastic.
Amy was on. She was at warm up, and she was at sound check. Her daughter was vomiting. Was feeling sick. Mike was going to be here tonight, but he also has to come on over. He's going to be here in the morning. So it just didn't make sense. So but the good news is we got 5 hosts now on the show. We've got the phone number to call in, so please participate. Olivia, do you want to go ahead and remind people about the bracelets real quick?
Yes, bracelets, $10 a bracelet. It's at Venmo, and it's at bracelets-Israel is what you're going to.
$10. We have a young lady who's making these. She's 13 years old. She goes to a local school. She is Jewish American. And, you know, I'm just going to say that she saw something she shouldn't see at school. And somebody drew a certain symbol at school that's unacceptable. And, you know, listen, hatred is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. And you can have your opinions. And here's the cool thing. If you don't want to like Jews, you don't have to. You get to decide who you don't like and who you do like. And there are groups of people who I'm not very fond of either. But the one thing I always do is I try to weigh people on their merit. I don't weigh it on their personal beliefs. And I think when you break people down to the dichotomy of who they are, their political affiliation, who they vote for, what type of clothes they wear, or what their genetic disposition is, really doesn't mean anything to me. You can be an asshole or you can be an upstanding human being. I prefer upstanding human beings. And although I do have some friends who are assholes, I would rather have company with the people who are upstanding human beings. And that's why I try to have on this show. I'm an asshole enough for everybody. Olivia, last minute for you. Anything else?
Oh, people are just trying to find us and they're saying page not found. So I was trying to do some research.
Okay, so where are they? Help me out. Where are you going? Are you going on Spreely?
Whatever you posted on YouTube, I copied and pasted on Rumble, and that's where they went.
Nurse Vicky subscribed. Mo has subscribed.
So Kevin's just having a hard time finding us.
Okay. So where's Kevin at?
Rumble.
Rumble?
He's on Rumble.
Okay.
Uncle Stumpy.
Okay, so if we go to Rumble, don't unfriend me. It's right there.
No, he's on Rumble. He wants to find on Spreely. He can't find us on Spreely right now.
I just asked. Okay. This is where I have to be nice, and my shorthand doesn't work.
You asked him where he was. He's on Rumble right now.
Where he was trying to find us. Not,
there you go.
Not from a metaphysical standpoint, Sweet Pea.
From
an existential Olivia, from an existential standpoint, would you please tell me where he's at from his state of mind? Okay, so
He's trying to find us on Spreely.
Okay, go to Spreely video. Okay, and then we're going to do a search. So let me go to the main page on Spreely. I'm going to go to search. I'm going to put the DUMSHO with no spaces. It's right there. The Dumb Show with no spaces, with it, not DUMB. You're going to find channels and people. You can find a video, and then it says Matt Spear. Then you go on there and you're good to go. In fact, we're just going to go ahead and do this right now because I promised you all I would never leave you behind and I would always try to help you. That is going to continue right now. Here is. Okay. So if we go to video.
War is always bad, specifically for
Listen,
the planet.
lady, I'm
If we
sick
want to
and tired of
continue,
your shit, okay?
Fighting back.
War
Shut
is
it.
always bad. How dare you?
Shut it, Greta. All right. So you go, let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to where it all started. All right. There is Spreely TV. You can see, I'm on the front page, for God's sakes. I'm right here in trending. But let's go ahead and just go ahead and put in the Dumb Show and do a search. Oh, you gotta click on the real window, not the fake window. There it is, Matt Spear. Click on, boom, there's the Don't Unfriend Me show, folks. And then you come over and you hit follow. I've got 2 subscribers. I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. What's that?
I'm going to subscribe.
You should. All right, folks, listen, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show.
Also, go to YouTube.
Go to YouTube. Yes.
Subscribe. We have 269 people left. I want to get to 1,000 before the end of the year. Please go subscribe. You don't have to watch on there. Just have to subscribe.
We will be on tomorrow morning at 9 to 9. I actually think it might be 9 o'clock because that's what I committed to on Spreely. So if you like this show, the morning show is fun. Mike and I come on. We just spend some time together, have a conversation. It's really laid back. We drink some coffee, and it's a fun time. So stop on by, come say hello to us. Thanks for watching. Go make the Astros win. Yeah, I need to get the hell off of here.
Yeah, it's 8-2. We really did.
Is it 8-2?
Yeah.
It's over. Yeah, it's over.
Oh,
there's no way. Astros aren't coming back from that. Nope. Yeah, it means they're pitching. They're into their bullpen already. If they're into their bullpen, it's over. What is it, the 6th?
I think it was, it was the 4th.
And it was 8-2 in the 4th?
Yeah.
That means they chased Javier.
It was 4-2 at the beginning of the 4th. There was one out.
What did they hit, a grand slam in the 4th?
I'm going to assume it was a grand slam because now it's 8-2.
Oh,
take a look.
Yeah, the Stros are done. It's okay.
Yeah.
Listen.
Bases loaded again, only 2 outs.
For whom?
The Rangers.
Yeah, it's over.
Oh,
it's
boy.
just listen, they can't
The
play at home.
Astros had a good run.
They did. 7 years, ALCS. They made it to the LCS. This is the time where they're going to have to start thinking about rebuilding. They need to go ahead and trade Pena out. They got to get Tucker's not going to get a contract. He didn't deserve it after this postseason. You're probably going to get rid of Pena. You're probably going to get rid of Tucker. You're going to bring in some new blood. Abreu was a good shot. You might re-sign him, but they got to address their pitching. And when Verlander's
not the future.
Verlander is not the future. Hunter Brown is the future. Fromber, you're going to have to, he's a head case. So you probably have to get rid of Fromber, Valdez. And then you got to consider, do you keep JP France? Maybe. But McCullers, is he going to come back? I mean, McCullers is
I think we need to give up on Cluckers.
Well, I don't know, but we got to do something. But right now, they got to rebuild. But here's the cool thing, folks. It's hockey season. And honestly, that is my favorite time of year.
And
the
5-0.
Colorado Avalanche are 5-0, folks. They're kicking ass and taking names and chewing bubble gum. And guess what? They are all out of gum. Colorado Avalanche, folks. It looks really good right now, and I'm excited to see them. If you have not watched the Avs, you can do it now. All right, we're out of here. Good night. Thanks for watching. Leroy, love you, buddy.
Love you guys. Yeah, it's great to be on. Love you guys. And just take care of each other.
Yeah, we will see you. Jared says, do you do hockey trading cards? If it's Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Patrick Roy, or Martin Brodeur, Terry Sawchuk, Gordie Howe's rookie card, yes, I collect cards. If not, no.
All right,
I'll take the ones that are worth a couple mil. Good night, everybody. See ya. See ya tomorrow morning.
Fucking Stros.